Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to review, rather belatedly, the superb Abbey Road CD box set which came out 2019, so that's nearly 6 years ago. And the reason I've only just got it is because I was waiting for the price to come down, and I found a copy in Budapest which is roughly half the price which is going for on Amazon right now, so very happy with that. I was pleasantly surprised by the price he was offering, and I couldn't resist it. I know I'm trying to resist buying CD and vinyl these days, but this was too good to pass up. Let me show you what's in here. Well, before I do that, I'm going to just take you through a bit of the history of my Abbey Road collection. So, started off with my parents having a copy, which we wore out, us kids wore to death on a portable record player in our playroom, and by the time we'd finished with it, it was virtually unplayable. And then I picked up this copy. This is the late 70s press, and got it back home and played it on my parents' nice hi-fi, and it was almost a different record. It was just marvelous to hear it in pristine condition. So that was my late 70s copy. And then I picked up the 2014 vinyl, which is, I don't think that they've much improved the original 69 mix, to be honest. I mean, obviously there's tracks where you can hear the drums a bit clearer or the bass has been turned up, but on the whole I think it was a superbly produced album and leaves little room for improvement. Now this was an interesting one because I found this copy in Camden, and I was quite excited when I saw it. It's an Australian pressing, and it's on green vinyl, which is always interesting to see alternative pressings in the various countries. So I duly bought it. The guy was charging 15 quid for it. And then I got home and then I did some research and I found out it was a bootleg. So beware. There's a particular record shop in Camden, because I've been back there, where he just stocks loads of coloured vinyl and he makes them out to be legitimate. And he even admitted to me on my second visit, because I said, is this a bootleg? And he said, yeah. He said, but the fans lap it up, they love coloured vinyl. So the guy was basically ripping people off. I won't name the name of the shop, I've forgotten the name of the shop, but beware of coloured vinyl, because they quite often are not legit. So this is my son's copy of the picture disc from 2019, and it really is beautiful because it's double-sided. This is the Abbey Road back cover without the word Beatles on it. The original shot taken on Abbey Road, and then obviously got the front cover here, and it's just beautiful to have that on picture disc. This is more for aesthetic value, not for playing. Needless to say, picture disc not really good for playing. I wanted to show you this because I picked up this in Colony Records in New York City. It used to be on Broadway, it's closed down now. But it's superb to have a 3D picture of the Abbey Road sleeve, don't you think? I've got the same 3D picture of Rubber Soul, and I think I picked that up from Colony as well. It was a superb shop, and I wish they'd do more 3D pictures because I think they're really quite cool. The CD collection I have to show you, well, just quickly, in '87 HMV tried to make it look more exciting by putting it in a box, and it came with some liner notes and some commentary and a poster as well, I think. I'm not sure if I have the poster still, unfortunately. Then in 2009 we had the remastered version, and this had very nice packaging, utilising the pictures from the Hey Jude album session, 22nd August 69, of course. And then I did pick this up, single CD, the Giles Martin remix with a very nice gatefold here. But I didn't pick up the box set at the time, but I'm delighted to have it. And this book, just for the book alone, I would have forked out close to what they were asking, because it is just a beautiful book. First of all, houses the 4 CDs in the front and back, which is basically the album, the 5.1 surround sound mix, which is not very relevant to me because I don't have the setup to enjoy that. And then 2 CDs of outtakes. And although a lot of this material was in the single CD, it's great to have in sort of large format. And a lot of these pictures, and we should thank God that Linda was there, because she was on hand to take some great shots of the band. And there's a forward by Paul McCartney. And then this picture of Paul and George with George Martin is taken by Linda. And throughout the book, I mean, I think this is also Linda. I mean, it's just superb. She had a camera. She thought, why not? I'll snap some pics, and we're very grateful. Good liner notes from Kevin Howlett, who's probably most famous in my world for doing the masterminding the BBC Beatles releases over the years. Superb track-by-track analysis, learnt a lot. I'm going to tell you a few things I learnt. Another great picture of John here, taken by Linda. And then we've got, the track-by-track, telling you who played what instrument on which, on each track, which is very interesting, and threw up some things I didn't know, put it that way. Sorry, I'm just going to show you some more Linda pictures. This is brilliant. 4 individual portraits. So anyway, that was the book, and I want to tell you, well, obviously the 2 CDs of outtakes are absolutely sublime. I've listened to them on Spotify over the years, but great to hear on a proper hi-fi on CD. And just tell you a few things I learned. For example, on Maxwell Silver Hammer, it is George Harrison playing the bass, and I'd always associated that bass line because it's so effervescent and melodic with Paul, but it was recorded live with George playing bass, Paul on piano, Ringo on drums, and I was just very interested to hear that, because even though he didn't much care for the song, he did admit that they did a good job on it at the end, and George's bass playing is one of the highlights, so that was very interesting. It's interesting that they chose alternative versions of the tracks different to what was released on Anthology, which is, for example, because on Anthology they released just the vocal only version, and here they've just released the instrumental only, and you can hear Ringo's hand clapping trying to keep them in time, which is nice. So no duplication there. On Oh Darling, I didn't know that John's playing all the guitar parts on there, including the arpeggios, and the sort of stabbed rhythm track is very John in style. But George is on bass for that track, so he's not contributing guitar. So any guitar you hear on Oh Darling is John's, which I didn't know before. I Want You, She's So Heavy. Well, obviously, this track began quite early on in the Abbey Road sessions. Before they went to Abbey Road, they were at Trident, and they were recording I Want You, She's So Heavy very loud with Billy on the organ. No, Billy's organ maybe was overdubbed later, but anyway, they got a complaint from the neighbours in Soho saying it's too loud. I mean, I don't know who was complaining. Did they not realise it was the Beatles? I mean, I would have done an opposite complaint and asked them to turn it up, but I don't know, it's just me. But anyway, John was saying, who's complaining? And he goes, well, okay, we'll do one more take loud and then we'll try it soft. So this is our last chance to be loud, and then they launched into a brilliant version of I Want You with Billy Preston very prominent on the organ, which is less noticeable on the finished version. Here Comes the Sun, just a great version of, well, it's John is not on the track, but on this version it's George is doing a guide vocal, and Paul is playing a kind of sort of basic bass line, but it's very effective, and Ringo's doing this superb drum part which he did on the finished track, and he's virtually nailed it on this track. And it's just very interesting to hear the 3 Beatles without John producing such a masterpiece, and obviously there are many examples of Beatles tracks not featuring all 4, so this is not alone, but I thought it was interesting to hear this demo, this unreleased take, and also the finished version is obviously sublime. what have we got? On Carry That Weight, it's only Paul and Ringo singing the chorus vocal. I just assumed it was all four. But John and George are not credited on the liner notes for this box set, so that was interesting. Actually, you can probably, Ringo, if we're fair, he does dominate that chorus, so it's not really a surprise that it's only two of them. What else have we got? Her Majesty, well, it's got, this box set has Paul just doing 3 takes, one after the other, and opting for take 3 to feature in the medley. He just knocks them off very effortlessly, and it's just brilliant to hear very slight differences between the 3 takes. Ballad of John and Yoko isn't not on the album, obviously, but a complete joy to hear John and Paul in the studio together having such a good time. John is on acoustic guitar, Paul is on drums. There's no bass or piano or electric guitar at this stage, and they're running through the song and they're in great spirits. And it's just one of the highlights of the entire box set. I enjoyed this on Spotify, but it was playing it loud out of the speakers, it was something else. And then Old Brown Shoe, well, I mean, I might have read it somewhere before, but I didn't realise that Ringo's not on drums on this track either. And George returned from wherever he was, not available for the Ballad of John and Yoko, but 2 days later they recorded this Old Brown Shoe, and Paul's on drums again, which is fascinating. And this outtake, which featured on the box set, is one of the takes of the 3 Beatles laying down the track, and it's just very exciting. In fact, all the way through, the camaraderie shown between the 3 Beatles, at least on the stuff released here on this box set, is very impressive. They were not bitching at each other, well, not that we can hear here. More the opposite, more kind of, you know, come on lads, let's put down another take. And John's going through Come Together very enthusiastically, and Paul is chipping in with ideas, and it's just great to hear. We've got strings only of Something and Golden Slumbers. Wonderful to hear George Martin's orchestration. It makes you appreciate the final track even more. What else? Kevin Howlett, as I said, did the sleeve notes. David Hepworth does a superb essay at the end describing, and this is David Hepworth, the famous UK music journalist who, along with Mark Ellen, founded the magazines Q and Mojo. But back in the 60s, he was a, I don't know, 17, 18-year-old, I think, or a bit younger, and he went and bought Abbey Road when it came out. And he's writing these superb sleeve notes saying, we didn't know it at the time, this is their last work, and we didn't know that they'd done us the greatest favour and actually left us on a high, unlike a lot of groups who just carry on. And the legacy of Abbey Road is also, he says, because very little in the 50 years since is superior to it. And this is the coda, or the ending, that the Beatles' story deserved. And he does complain a bit about the packaging, because it is a bit basic compared to the White Album, where you get all these photos and posters. In Abbey Road, it's just a plain white sleeve, albeit it's on the beautiful Apple label, but I think maybe this would have been a good gatefold, this picture, but I don't know if they were in a rush to put it out. But it's fairly basic in terms of packaging. Not that detracts from the music, of course. I've mentioned Linda's photos. Lovely book, fits into the case here, and I only have, of all the Beatles box sets, I have the Let It Be box set on vinyl, because I saw that at a good price as well, I couldn't resist it. I have this one on CD, and that's it. I don't have any of the others, so I will pick them up if and when I see them at a reasonable price. Thank you for watching. See you next time.